Rogers TV. This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Everyone, RTV Sports Rap back again this week as the summer weather finally rolls its way back into Grey Bruce after all of that rain. Spencer Byers, JC Coots, Lucas Ireland here with us tonight. I believe Adrian Musso may appear. We'll see if he blesses us with his appearance. But guys, I think it would be a disservice not to start with Matt Eckert of the Owen Sound Junior B North Stars passing away in a car accident with 4 other WD students while they were going to a softball tournament. And I'll play Walkerton District. For those of you who don't know who WD is, I guess when I was in high school, it's just what I called it. JC, I believe you said you went to the vigil for Matt Eckert and the poor students that passed away in that car accident down, I believe, in London area. I guess just what was that like to get a chance to see everyone come out? And I know they said, I believe, put out running shoes at your front door, or at your porch, if you will, in memory of the kids and Matt Eckert.
Well, it was very surreal to be at the school on Sunday evening with the candlelight vigil. There were probably about 1,000 people who gathered to remember not just Matt Eckert, but the 4 female student athletes who were also killed in that collision, including Olivia Rourke, Rowan McLeod, Cadence Ford, and Danica Baker. I mean, these were all multi-sport athletes. So not just was the school community affected, and actually several school communities have been affected by this tragedy in the Blue Water District, but also the fact that because they were multi-sport, 2 of the girls I know played hockey, so I saw members of their hockey team also coming to lay wreaths and flowers and light candles. I saw members of a Kincardine volleyball team that was there because they also, some of them played volleyball. So it was a very surreal moment, especially the fact we got there about half an hour before it actually was scheduled to begin, and by that point there were already at least 500-600 people. And when you get a crowd of people together, typically, I mean, you'll hear rumbles and murmurs and people talking and conversing. This was silent. In fact, barely anybody even had a phone out. Like, everybody was there for one reason, and that was to reflect and remember the impact. And it was a vast impact that the teacher, Matt Eckert, had in the community. Of course, we know him as the North Stars assistant coach, among other duties. And then these 5 girls were very involved in the community and the sporting community. So to have that kind of immediate support from the community just tells you a lot about the place we live in. And Spencer, you know it very well, that this is a very tight-knit area, not just in Walkerton, but all across Midwestern Ontario. And then to see the GoFundMe start up on Sunday night, which is now well over $100,000 and continuing to grow to raise money to help support the 5 families who have been affected by this. It's just, it is heartbreaking. It's unprecedented to have this amount of grief, but at the same time, it's amazing to see the community come together and support each other.
I believe Danica Baker was the volleyball player. I know the Trent Excalibur put something out. I know that the Blue Water Ballistics put something out as well. So you mentioned it, all multi-sport athletes. I believe one was also a gymnast of some description. So it touched a lot of communities, not just at Walkerton District, but also around the Blue Water board, from OSDSS to St. Mary's to what have you. And this is the second tragedy for that Junior B team, because just last year they lost Tyson Downs, or I believe 2 years ago they lost Tyson Downs. So it's been a lot of tragedy for the Junior B North Stars and this community, with people going a little bit too soon. Lucas, I guess not much to touch on, but just I guess condolences maybe for Matt Eckert and the girls' families.
Yeah, absolutely. I was told about the story a few days ago, and it was just horrible to hear. My heart goes out to all impacted and that entire community.
Well, Adrian, welcome in. We're talking about Matt Eckert and the 4W Walkerton District students who passed away in that car accident just a weekend ago. Obviously, you work at St. Dominique de Savio, so obviously this must touch pretty close to home for you. You're just muted, Adrian. make sure I get you in there because I know what you're saying is amazing stuff. And it looks like Adrian may be having some mic problems, so I do want to give him that chance to comment on that because, again, as a St. Dominique de Savio teacher, I think it's important that he gets a chance to give his thoughts on that. So, JC, I will quickly go to the PWHL. I let Adrian get himself figured. You watched every game. The Minnesota Frost are the two-time back-to-back champions of the Walter Cup in the PWHL. They just got into the playoffs both years, finishing as the bottom four seed, but they end up winning the championship 2 years in a row. What was that like getting a chance to watch it, JC?
You know what? It was a really good final series. I mean, every game, 4-game series, they all went to overtime, all identical 1-1 scores going into overtime. And of course, one of the big stories for the Ottawa Charge, they lost their starting goaltender due to long-term injury back in March. And when this rookie goaltender, Gwyneth Phillips, a 24-year-old, came into the lineup, everyone thought that the season was done. It turns out it was not. In fact, she was outstanding down the stretch, and in just a very short amount of time put her name on the list for Rookie of the Year, for Goalie of the Year, and ends up winning playoff MVP as well. And some just outstanding numbers for her, like a 1.15 goals against average in the 6 games played throughout the playoffs. She was great. And, to credit to Minnesota, too. They found ways to win in those high-pressure overtime games. It was amazing to see the big crowds in both arenas and both cities coming out to support it. I mean, this is just year 2 of the PWHL, professional women's hockey. So it's definitely a sport that continues to grow, and having series like this that are close and that are exciting to watch only does great things for the sport. It's going to expand by two teams next year, with Seattle and Vancouver coming into the fold. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that starts to change the dynamic as you get more teams and more players. It's only going to raise the level of competition. I mean, if we look at another professional women's sports league in the WNBA, it took almost a generation to get to the point where everyone's talking about Caitlin Clark. Hopefully it doesn't take the PWHL that long to get there, but where it's at right now, the fact that it's exciting, the fact that they're very slowly tempering their growth and working towards making sure that everything goes well. I mean, it's just good things, and hopefully they can arrive on the major scene a little bit quicker than it took the WNBA.
Well, Adrian, you're welcome back. I hope
Can you
your
hear
mic.
me?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
We can hear the great Adrian Musso. Adrian, I would like you to get a chance to touch on Matt Eckert and the 4 Wahkiton District students. Go ahead.
yeah, as a teacher myself, an unimaginable tragedy. Somebody just trying to do something good in the community and come back from a softball tournament, and yeah, I really don't have words. Matt and I were members at Legacy Ridge Golf Course, so I've golfed with him in the past. Unbelievable person. My heart goes out to all involved, all his friends, all their family members, of all the girls, of Matt. It's such a tough time right now. The whole community is grieving, and when I say community, it's like as big as Grey Bruce. Everybody seems to have known somebody, been touched by somebody that was in this event, and I'm at a loss for words, honestly. Sorry, I can't come with anything adequate and profound, but I pray for them. I pray for their families. I send positive thoughts, prayers, everything to everyone involved, and I hope that they can find comfort in knowing how many lives that each one of them touched in their short time here on Earth.
Well, Adrian, again, as a teacher at St. Dominique de Savio, I know it probably hit you maybe the hardest, as that's a person, that almost, I'll say, isn't dissimilar from you, isn't that far away from, what you're able to do at St. Dominique. So obviously, It's a little bit closer than say a former student at St. Mary's and my favorite radio broadcaster JC Coots and our favorite factory worker there in Lucas, Ireland. But Adrian, I would like to get your opinion there on the PWHL. The final is now over. The two-time Walter Cup champs in Minnesota go back to back after finishing fourth in both seasons. Well, I guess what was your thoughts on the final between Ottawa and Minnesota?
Electric. If you could put one word on it, is triple overtime game here, four total overtimes in the series, like back and forth affairs. It could have been won by anybody. And the one thing that I'll take away with it, I heard JC's comment about Emma Smashmeyer getting injured early in the year, and then Gwyneth, I was going to say Paltrow, Gwyneth Phillips has to come in and do the mop-up duty for the Ottawa Charge. One thing that I thought about during this whole debrief after the game was finished last night was that I think we talk often on the men's side that Canadian goaltending is in trouble. Well, don't look no further on the women's side. Gwyneth Phillips, an American goaltender, who was in the finals for the Minnesota Frost, an American goaltender as well. And where was Anne-Marie Desbiens? Well, she got ousted in the first round. The Montreal Victoire lost. Now, Emma Smashmeyer, another national team goaltender. She was on the mend, but still, maybe they have a new girl in town between the pipes in Ottawa next season. So I think Canada's got to do some digging, and this new league that started up, like JC said, 2 years ago, is really putting a lot more question marks than answers when it comes to Team Canada and the makeup of that team. That clique of girls that won so many gold medals together, maybe it isn't the best group of girls after all. We see Sarah Nurse on the decline, Natalie Spooner on the decline, Marie-Philippe Poulin's on the decline, Laura Stacey on the decline. And now with this expansion draft that's going to come up with Vancouver and Seattle, where you're only allowed to protect 4 people, well, who are you protecting? Are you going to protect the young ones with the future? Or are you going to take the veterans that have, like, I'm looking at the Victoire, and you have Desbiens, Poulin, Kayla Barnes, Erin Ambrose, Laura Stacey. That's 5 girls right there that are nucleus of your team. And then the Toronto Scepters haven't done anything in this league yet. Maybe a regular season championship, but they haven't done anything in the playoffs. And they are stacked up front, but just can't get it done. Who are they going to lose off their roster? It's very intriguing time for the PWHL and expansion. I hope the expansion doesn't kill the league because they're going so far west that the funds, I hope they don't run out. Billie Jean King seems to have immense amount of money, so hopefully that isn't a factor. But I'm very intrigued in the drama that is to come in this offseason for the PWHL.
I wonder, Adrian, if some of these teams might do what happened with the Vegas Golden Knights and get so fearful at losing a couple players, and they start making almost basically side deals like they with Vegas did when they did their expansion draft. And then teams learn for Seattle, let's not do that and give them really good players off our roster for literally nothing. So it'll be interesting to see how many teams maybe try to make a side deal to keep a couple players. Like, hey, if you don't draft these girls, don't draft these women, we will give you this draft pick or this player so you can draft another player. So they win by the asset aggregate than they do just taking maybe the best player available. Or they PWHL do what they did with Seattle and just say, hey, take the best player you can and see if you can build a really good hockey team. Because for Seattle, obviously their expansion draft did not go the same way as Vegas did, which is why Vegas has been to how many cup finals and how many conference finals since their inception. And Seattle right now was in the draft lottery. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Lucas, I want to give you your chance to pump the tires of the PWHL, who again finished their second season in operation, and I think a very successful second season. Venues going up, teams moving to bigger venues. I know the Scepters, I believe, did. So definitely nice to see the PWHL growing as a product.
Well, yeah, and we said last year too that this is only the beginning, and still, it is only the beginning. It's only been 2 years. Got the first expansion coming up, as Adrian alluded to, and I mean, Minnesota, of course, proving to be a very dominant team in the PWHL, and they're also proving too that just because you finish first does not mean anything. You can finish anywhere in the playoff picture and you still have a shot. And they've done it twice now, winning the first two seasons for in the PWHL. So congratulations again to them, and of course, congrats to Ottawa for making it to the finals. I'm just disappointed I missed out on the series, but from what you guys have mentioned and from what I've heard, it was an electric series, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the PWHL continues or how they continue to grow and where they will go in the years to come.
Well, Lucas, I'm going to stick with you on the next one because the NHL playoffs continues on, and the Carolina Hurricanes finally snapped their 15-game losing skid in the conference finals, which includes a sweep to the Boston Bruins, by the way. Tuukka Rask was disgusting in that series from my recollection back in 2019. Sadly, that did not end in a Lord Stanley Cup, but a final I will remember. So, Lucas, what do you think Carolina's chances are in that series against Florida? Is it done and dusted, or can they pull off some magic just like the Kitchener Rangers did?
Well, you look at the way the series has panned out so far, and it hasn't been close. I mean, the first three games, like I said, they weren't close. This last one, the score, from what I understand, is a little deceiving with the two empty net goals. It was just 1-0 there for a little bit, but I wouldn't necessarily count Carolina out, but for the most part, it's just like, okay, well, they're just, delaying the inevitable. It seems as though Florida's got this in the bag. They've had this in the bag since they beat Toronto in the second round. I said that whoever would win the series between Florida and Toronto would be the team that goes to the Cup final. And it seems like I will be correct in that prediction. So, I mean, good luck to Carolina, but I think Florida's got this one in the bag.
Adrian, with that, obviously the Western Conference Finals, I think, is seen as a little bit more interesting between Dallas and Edmonton. Edmonton did win their home fixture in Game 3, coming up Game 4. Do you see it as a 2-2 series going back to Dallas for Game 5, or do you see the Stars being able to take one in Canada?
I think Game 5 that is played tonight. We're recording on Tuesday, May 27th. Or Game 4 rather is the most important game of the series. I think if the Edmonton Oilers go up 3-1 tonight, it's done deal, signed, sealed, delivered. Florida versus Edmonton final. However, if Dallas pulls out a win in Edmonton tonight, I truly believe this one's going 7 and potentially into overtime of Game 7. You just don't want to give Jake Ottinger the chance to steal a series because I don't think the Dallas Stars are completely playing their best hockey, and I think they will readily admit that with only Jason Robertson getting only one goal, and it was like he didn't even know he scored it in these playoffs, and then Jamie Benn's not having the best series. Tyler Sagan's been hit or miss on this, and now we're talking about Rupe Hintz, their best offensive player, isn't even in the series at this moment. He might play tonight. He may not. He didn't play in Game 3. So Edmonton needs to take advantage of this situation to get another chance at Lord Stanley and bringing it back home to Canada for the first time in 31 years. But I do think Edmonton's going to win this game. I do think that Stuart Skinner, I said when the unknown was happening with Calvin Pickard, I thought it was a great idea to go back to Stuart Skinner. I don't think you can win the playoffs with Calvin Pickard. And then I was like, oh, give Stuart Skinner the chance. He has the experience. And then it came out that Calvin Pickard's been injured. But nonetheless, Stuart's got the net back. He's taken it. He's had his ups. He's had his downs. But he's been steady going in the last 3 games here. So if he can keep that going, watch out, because the Edmonton Oilers are just getting healthier, and the Florida Panthers, yes, I'm already talking about the potential finals, they're getting injured on the day-to-day in that Carolina series. So the deeper that Carolina series goes, the worse it is for Florida, and the better it is for the Edmonton Oilers.
Well, JC, 3-1 Florida against Carolina, 2-1 Dallas against Edmonton, was Adrian mentioning. Game 4 happening as we kind of record this. So I guess, what are your thoughts with looking at these two series with, I think maybe the Western Conference a little more in mind?
Well, I think it was a little bit surprising that we saw Carolina win the other night and avoid elimination. Their record in the Eastern Conference, as you pointed out, Spencer, is not great, going all the way back almost 20 years now. They just seem to forget how to win in a series like that. And as Adrian alluded to, it's not great news for Florida because it means a few extra or a few less days off for them to recoup and get ready for the next round against Edmonton. I guess the good news, if you want to look at the positive side, it means at least another game of hearing from Paul Maurice. I mean, that guy, he's just been a treasure trove of awesomeness in those post-game comments. What did he say the other night? Like, have you shotgunned a beer? There's a time and a place for everything. You wouldn't do that at church, but our guys are a group of guys that sometimes they go to church and sometimes they shotgun beers, which is just, I can kind of see why his players love playing for him so much. So having a little bit more Paul Maurice, I think, is a good thing for the NHL and for the post-game press conferences. As for Edmonton, I mean, game one, they did what Edmonton is known to do, and they blew it. They really did, and it looked right away like, oh boy, these Oilers are in trouble. But then all of a sudden, they dug deep. Maybe there were some big voices in the room that came out and said, hey, we've been to Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final. If we want to get back there again, we're going to have to pull up the bootstraps a little bit and work a bit harder in this series. And you saw that in the next two games that followed that. They're going to be tough to beat at home in Game 4 for Dallas. I know we're recording this on the same night as the game, but Edmonton's going to be tough to beat. It's nice to see Stuart Skinner bounce back. It's been a roller coaster with him. I know Oilers fans are hating it right now, but he's exactly where they need him to be. And the secondary scoring is coming through as well. I mean, the other day, a guy like Zach Hyman comes out, he has double-digit hits in the game, and he scores like 2 highlight reel goals. And that's exactly what the Oilers need. They need everyone to step up and be a dangerous person on the ice at any given time. And we're starting to see that. That's how you get to championship level, is that everybody has to be a factor in one game or another. You can't just rely on the two superstars to carry you through. So if Edmonton can keep rolling like that through this series against a stacked Dallas team, I think they're going to be okay.
I heard a stat. Sorry to cut you off there, Spencer. I heard a stat about Zach Hyman. 109 hits in the regular season in 80 or 78 games, whatever he played. 114 in 14 games in the playoffs.
He knows when to turn it on, Adrian. He knows when to turn it on. He knows how to be a key for Sherwood, if you will, who led the league in hits by a landslide this year with the Vancouver Canucks. So I will now move to the NBA. And Adrian, if you want to start, because Shea Gilgeous-Alexander named MVP, the second Canadian to ever win the MVP after Steve Nash won 2 in a row with the Phoenix Suns in the early 2000s. I know Shaq's still mad about those two, but I think Steve deserved them. Now, Shea, the second Canadian ever to win it. His Thunder are up 3-1 on the Minnesota Timberwolves, looking to go to the NBA championship with that young nucleus of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, another Canadian in Lou Dort. So, Adrian, I guess kind of looking at that Thunder team, are they the team that's going to win the NBA championship?
Impressive win last night. Back and forth, high-scoring affair. Shea is able to get 40 points to lead his team to a narrow 2-point victory. One that the Timberwolves needed. Now they go up 3-1 on the T-Wolves, and the Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, maybe his worst game of the playoffs last night, point-wise. He just wasn't able to be the difference maker. And it was his cousin, Shea's cousin, that led the way offensively for the T-Wolves, Nickel Alexander, with 24 points in the game. So when I'm looking at that series, I would love to see the OKC Thunder win it. Minnesota, what is it? The 3 of the 4 teams that are left in the dance there in the NBA Finals haven't won an NBA championship. Indiana, Minnesota, and OKC. The only ones that have are the Knicks, and
that was like 40 years ago. That was a long time ago.
Long time ago. So. Somebody's going to be reign victorious. If it's a Canadian that's able to lift that, well, I guess they don't give it to players, the trophy at the end. They give it to the owner. Something that I don't like about the NBA there. Now I'm going off on a little tangent. But anyways, I'd love to see OKC win. And you know what is scary about all of this for NBA fans or fans that aren't fans of the OKC Thunder? This might be their worst team in the next 10 years.
I mean,
because they are young and they have a boatload of draft picks still from that trade that they made for Paul George. And who came over in that Paul George trade? Oh, yeah, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
well, trading PG, even trading Carmelo Anthony, I believe, to the Blazers. They also have obviously Russell Westbrook. And then obviously you can even go before that when they always traded away James Harden all those many moons ago to the Rockets. So Sam Presti is one of the best general managers in sports, let alone basketball. And the Thunder are right now really recouping that with Jalen Williams, who's a young guy. Obviously, Shea, Chet Holmgren, Lou Dort. There's so many good young players. And there's guys you haven't even heard of on their bench that are first-round talent because they draft them with all their draft picks, as you mentioned there, Adrian. JC, I want to give you a chance to talk because the Indiana Pacers play the Knicks tonight. Up 2-1 right now are the Pacers. And they have Andrew Nemhard, who's from Aurora, and Benedict Mathurin, who's from Montreal. So another team with a couple of Canadians on it. Do you see the Pacers as a team that is going to test OKC in the NBA Finals, or do you think the Knicks come back?
I mean, the Knicks, they had a much better effort in Game 3 the other night. And I think from the start of this was a series that potentially could go 7 games. But the fact is, Indiana is just so much better at both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively, than the Knicks are. The Knicks have had a nice run. They got some luck via an injury against the Celtics and were able to ice them in the last round. But, I mean, this is a really good team. If they win tonight, it's probably a whole new series. It could be a 7-game series, but likely Indiana recovers from. It was a pretty rough Game 3. They were throwing punches on the courts at each other. So we'll see how tonight's game goes. But honestly, I think it's probably shaping up. At least the signs and the wins are kind of going in the direction of an Indiana OKC final. Which the way that OKC has played through this series, I mean, at the start of it, some people might have given Minnesota a bit of a chance based on the fact they've been giant killers through the NBA playoffs. But they're showing you right now how much talent they have, and I would be surprised if they don't win the whole thing.
Hey, Spencer, as a guy that's locked into this, more so than I am. I have watched a few quarters here and there, and I've been checking the tea leaves. But Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has been claimed to be flopping and
slandered. He's been slandered to be a free throw merchant, even though he averages 8 free throws a game and averaging 30 points a game. When Kobe did it, he had like 10 free throws per game. When Jordan did it, he had 12 free throws per game. So I dislike this idea. Now, you can tell me he flops. Okay, sure. No offense. All best players flop. Now, you know why? Because they're going to get the call. And if all you told me was, hey, Spencer, if he touches you and you flail your arm, they're going to give you the foul. I'm taking the foul. Because anyone would. Of course they would. So, no, I think it's a bad argument. And I think it's a bad argument because James Harden won a MVP and he was a foul merchant because he had a ton of points off of the free throw line. So I think it's just bad faith. And I think it's people trying to tear down a player that's really good. And maybe because they wanted Jokic to win it. I'm not sure, Adrian, other than thinking Jokic should have won it or what have you. But nah, I think it's a bad argument. It's a bad argument for the second Canadian MVP. But I run out of time. Adrian Musso, JC Coots, Lucas Ireland, myself, Spencer Byers, the great Mark Perry behind the camera. We'll see you next week. We'll see if the NBA and NHL finals have begun here on RTV Sports Rap.
Let's go, Monk.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
To see it inspires dreams. To hold it brings joy.
New tears of joy.
It is over 130 years old, but makes grown men feel like kids.
This is what you think about as a kid.
It weighs 34.5 pounds, but when lifted, it is as light as a feather.
But it's like a feather now.
It is the greatest